Hi there, everyone. It's Gloria with Glory Be Resale, and I am here to do a haul from August 18th to September 1st. And this was what sold on eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy. So the first thing to sell over on eBay was this vintage 60s, 70s red metal lunchbox, um, toolbox, either or. And this sold for $29, and the cost to me on it was $5. The next thing to sell on eBay was this Gucci green, brown, and cream geometric print 100% silk blouse. And this sold for $211.37. And the cost to me on it was $19.99. I was a little surprised that this did go through to eBay to um, confirm it was a real Gucci. So I don't know when they do that, at what cutoffs, because I don't sell a lot of designer. But anyway, they did, and everything was great. So that was a nice pickup in a thrift store for 19.99. Next item to sell was this Eileen Fisher 100% wool open front gray cardigan sweater, and this sold for $24.65, and the cost to me on it was $6.49. The next item to sell was this Coca-Cola uh, t-shirt, and this sold for $15.30. The cost to me on it was $1. The next item to sell was this pair of Red Wings Clara-heeled boots, which were I picked these up at a yard sale on the second day, which was a half price day. It did have a little bit of damage here on the back of the heel, but I put that. Otherwise, they looked almost new. So, maybe worn once. Long enough to do that. But um, anyway, I picked them up for $10, sold them for 100. Next item to sell was this Peter Millar blue zip front hoodie sweatshirt, and this sold for $29.75. I think I pretty quickly had sent out an offer to somebody who liked this, and they bought it. I want to say this wasn't listed more than a few days. So again, it sold for $29.75, and the cost to me on it was $6.99. Next item to sell was this vintage Jewel Water Company seltzer bottle, and this sold for $79. And the cost to me on it was $4.99. I do have another one of these in my booth that has not sold, so it's white instead of yellow, which I think will make it be worth less, but still, this one sold so quickly, I feel like I should bring the other one home, list it online. Next item to sell was this set of 4 Royal Albert's Old Country Rose Classic mugs, bone china mugs, and these sold for $59, and the cost to me on them was $5. Next item to sell was this vintage 90s wood windowed box rooster rooster on the glass there, bread box, and this sold for $69, and the cost to me on it was $3. Next item to sell was this antique oil painting miniature Otto Van Thoren flower painting with the gold gilt frame. This one sold for $229, and the cost to me on it was $1. Did I just move that? Yes, I did, but I already showed it to you, so that's all right. Next item to sell was this Rockport, men's Rockport loafers, and these sold for $20. Cost to me on them was $1.25. And the last item to sell on eBay was this vintage 1990s floral decoupage trinket jewelry box, 3 drawers, and this sold for $45. The cost to me on it was $1.50. Next item to sell on Poshmark was this vintage 1960s coat with the big buttons, and this I took an offer of $20. I was all right with that. I just wanted to get rid of it. It was taking up room. I paid $1, which was another reason I was willing to take 20. Next item to sell was this hand-painted cottage core country house, and this sold for $16, and the cost to me on it was $2.99. The next item to sell was this city silk red black print, like an animal print blouse, and this sold for $24. Cost to me on it was $3. Next item to sell was this vintage Ralph Lauren with the suede shoulder patches and the plaid cardigan sweater. And this sold for $40, and the cost to me on it was $6.99. The next item to sell was this pair of Denali's men's gray cargo hiking fishing shorts, and these sold for $15. And the cost to me on them was $5.99. Not a great sale, but end of the summer, want to get rid of them. So that's all right. The next item to sell was this Tricks and Treats doll scream boots, and these sold for $55, and the cost to me on them was $10. The next item to sell was this pair of Spanx uh, Booty Boost pants, and these sold for $45, and the cost to me on them was $2.50. Now over to Etsy, and the first thing to sell over here was this vintage large turned wood pestle food grinder, crusher, primitive look, kitchen tool. This sold for $35, and the cost to me on it was $2.50. Next item to sell was this vintage Hardy card maker to His Majesty sealed playing cards, and these sold for $14.45. Cost to me on them was $2. Next item to sell was this folk art seagulls on driftwood, and these sold for $18.70 during a sale, and the cost to me on it was $2.99. Next item to sell was this large Mexican Talavera tile sign, and this sold for $49, and the cost to me on it was $4.99. The next thing to sell was this vintage hummingbird nightingale table lamp, a French country slag, and this sold for $49. Cost to me on it was $8. If you wouldn't mind, if you give me a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It just makes me feel that I'm not doing this for nothing. Let me know you're watching and that you like seeing what things are selling for. The next item to sell over on Etsy was this vintage four-sectioned bottle basket, and this sold for $35. Cost to me on it was $2. Next item to sell on Etsy. This took a long time to sell, but it did finally sell, and I think I might have marked it down from whatever I originally had it at. But this is slag ashtray sold for $75.65, and the cost to me on it was $7.37. Next item to sell was this vintage George B. Bent Company plaid ottoman. This was a great buy. I bought two of these for $10 each, and this sold for $195. And the other one sold a few months ago, I believe, for 165. So those were a great pickup. And the last thing to sell on Etsy was this vintage rattan wooden backed wall pocket. And this sold for $53.10. And the cost to me on it was $3.99. And that is everything that I sold on eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy from August 18th to September 1st. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope your sales are doing great. We are going into quarter 4. I hope that you've been listing and selling because this is our time. We're coming into it. So, anyway, again, give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, which will be very soon because I have to do the next video, and I will see you then. Thanks. Have a great one.